This is an excerpt from a recent Power Up webinar on the basics of editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. In this excerpt, I'll show you a variety of ways to apply transitions in Premiere. All the shots that I'm using today come from Edit Stock at www.editstock.com. Here I have two shots, a wide shot of the British Columbian Canadian Rockies in Canada. What we have here is a transition that's a cut, an instantaneous change from one shot to the next. I'd like to add a dissolve, and the easiest way to do it is to select the edit point and type Command D. Command D automatically adds the default cross dissolve. Add a default length, which I'll show you in just a minute. We can change the duration of the dissolve by grabbing an edge, what I call a wing, and dragging it longer to make the dissolve slower or shorter to make the dissolve occur faster. As we look at it now, I'll just play this. Beautiful wide shot, slow lingering dissolve to another wide shot. To delete a transition once you've applied it, click in it so it's a nice highlighted color, hit the delete key and it's gone. So select the edit point, Command D, highlight it, delete it. If we want to apply multiple transitions to more than one clip at a time, select all the clips you want to apply it to, type Command D, and we've now added cross dissolves to all the selected clips. I'll undo that with Command Z. But there's another way that we can do with dissolve. If I Control click on the edit point, notice it says Apply Default Transitions. And when I select it, it adds a dissolve not just to the video, which Command D does, but also to the audio. And as before, I can change the duration of the audio dissolve separate from the video dissolve to get the effect that I want, both orally and visually. I'm going to type Command Z and make both of those disappear. There's another way that we can apply an effect. I'm going to type the word cross and see if we can find a cross dissolve right there. Grab that dissolve and drag it on top of the edit point that I want to apply it. We'll say there. And now I've got a nice fade to black. So I can apply transitions with keyboard shortcuts, Command D, or Control clicking on the edit point, or drag it from the effects panel on top of the edit point to which I want to apply that transition. But there's a couple cool things that are not available to us in the timeline that I want to illustrate. I'm going to type Command D. Notice the transition appears in the video, but not in the audio. Select it and go up to the Effect Controls panel. Here is a special area that you may not have played with before. If I click in the center of that transition and drag it, I can create what's called an asymmetric transition, where it's taking more of the incoming clip and less of the outcoming clip. The reason we would do this is we don't have enough handles. Dragging the transition allows me to take advantage of whatever handles I have on each clip. Here I'm using more handles on the outgoing clip. Here I'm using more handles on the incoming clip. And this asymmetric timing is done by dragging. If I were to click a wing down here and drag it, notice that both sides extend. If, on the other hand, I click a wing up here, I can change the duration of just the out of the transition or just the in of the transition, whereas down here I'm changing them symmetrically. If I click this little triangle down here, I can change the location of the edit point. I'm doing a roll, which then changes the location of the transition itself. Let's make this an asymmetric transition so we can see clearly that it's off-center. And let's say I want to replace it. I'm going to replace it with a push transition, which I'll talk more about in a second. I'm going to just type push and drag the push transition. Watch what happens when I drag it on top. It keeps the same duration, it keeps the same timing, but now instead of a dissolve, one shot pushes the other shot out of the way. So I can replace a transition and retain its timing and position. I can change the duration of a transition. I can delete a transition. And when I switch to wipes, which are all of these inside the video transitions folder, inside the effects panel, I have even more things I can mess with. For instance here, notice that that push is coming in from the left-hand side. If I wanted to come in from the right-hand side, click this triangle on the right, and now it's coming in from the right-hand side. Or it's coming down from the top. Or it's going up from the bottom. I'll come in from the left just so I can keep my brain straight, and notice that there's no border between those two shots. As I scroll down, let's change the border width to 20, and let's change the color to red. And now I've got a nice red border that slides along with my images. I could also use the eyedropper tool to sample this particular blue, say right here, and now I've got a sky blue transition if I wanted to do that. Click to change the direction by flipping it to reverse, although I find these arrows to be more powerful. We can apply transition to video only, audio only, video and audio. I can replace transitions, I can change the position, I can change the timing. Oh, another cool thing, if I double click a transition, it opens up the transition duration. Let's set this to 3 seconds, or let's set it to 1 second and 15 frames. Don't have to type punctuation, just type the numbers, and now I've got a speedy transition that just zippy-poos across the screen. When we select the default transition, whether it's audio or video, it has a default duration associated with it. We change that duration by going up to Premiere Pro, Preferences, Timeline. Preferences, Timeline. The top setting is the duration of the video dissolve when you type Command D. When you Control-click on an edit point, it adds a video duration of whatever this number is, and whatever that number is for the audio. For my system, my default duration is 20 frames, and my default duration for audio is 1 second. Once you've set those, click OK, and now whenever you type Command D, you'll get the 20 frame transition that we just set. This has been an excerpt of a recent Power Up webinar on the basics of editing in Premiere Pro. For the complete version of this online training, please visit our store at larryjordan.com/store and look for Webinar 283. By the way, when you need to stretch your training dollars, membership in our video training library saves you money and time. You can access all of our videos for a low monthly price of only $19.99. That's more than 1,900 movies, hundreds of hours, on a wide variety of subjects. Plus, premium members can download practice media and projects. Our training covers Apple and Adobe software. We update it multiple times each month. And for more information, visit larryjordan.com/membership. And thanks.